Welcome to That Game Show, the awkward, inappropriate, random podcast that occasionally talks about games.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to That Game Show. I am Chase Bunker, joined as always with Kyle Helmstetter. Kyle, how are you?
Good. That intro was significantly less hype than the last one, but that's okay.
You're right. Well, the last one also had a lot less swearing, or a lot more swearing compared to this one. So I had to, change that.
It had one less swear word. That's not that much.
That was also a lot more editing for me to do. I don't think you realize how
seconds.
I don't think you realize how much editing it takes when I have to bleep you out all the time.
I don't know, man. I edited an episode of Underratedly Unheard Of, and it was all right.
Now, wait, did you have to censor your language?
Probably, yeah. Probably had to cut out some stuff, I'm saying some stuff, and then I said some more stuff, and then I said something, and I'm like, that definitely can't be in there.
I'm definitely... I don't remember anything crazy, but now I have to go through it again.
Because I censored it. I was smart. I cut that out. And you know what I did? I watched it. That's how I did it.
That's right. All right, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Underratedly Unheard Of came back. Kyle brought up a new episode with Rolls and Dice. It was a really good episode. At least I thought. Now you had me paranoid that I missed something. That was like, panic. We also went to Holiday Matsuri over our break. It was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that, and of course give out our game of the year, because it's February, and in typical That Game Show fashion, we like to do things really late. I think I got enough reallys in.
Is it late though? Is it really late?
Yes. It's February.
Everybody
did theirs mid-December.
You are right about that part.
Yeah. So
could have been better on the time.
We could have been, but I think we were also planning for Holiday Matsuri. So, which, by the way, in case you missed it, we ended up going to Holiday Matsuri in Orlando. It was a lot of fun. A lot better than I thought it was going to be for us. First off, I thought the vendor halls were both really cool. They had separate between Artist Alley and just all the other regular shops. So I thought that was kind of cool. But also they had some, you may have noticed this, and I think I said it to you, some of the art was really good, and there's some really nice pieces, and then the next booth would just be somebody with just massive Dobon honkaroos, and that's about it.
About the art or the people?
The art. The cosplay was also the same. It's this nice, intricate, multi-layered piece of armor, and then you have a guy who's just shirtless.
You're thoughtful, provoking, inspiring, shirtless.
Yes, that's exactly it. We also saw there was a booth there. I never thought I would say this, that was selling perfumes and candles that smelled like your favorite anime characters.
I was so petrified to smell any of them, because I could have sworn that I was going to take a sniff and it was going to be oh, this is, I don't know, Monkey D. Leafy Musk. And I'd be like, how did you try to capture this? This is terrible.
Oh, Essence of Vegeta? Okay. Well, let's be honest, who would be the best smelling anime character?
Male or female?
Let's go with male, because I feel if we went the female territory, we'd get in trouble. Because I've got one. The only one, while you ponder, the only one that I could think of that would probably smell the best would be Lloyd Forger from Spy Family.
That one, yes. Absolutely. Probably very elegant. I also would say from Shigeki no Soma, probably most of the characters, because they would smell like the respective foods they're cooking.
I feel that is an anime that you just made up.
It's not, though. I don't recommend Googling it at this current time, but it is worth a Google and a watch if you're able to get through the not food parts. Which actually happened at the time of the food parts, now that I think about it. So that's
how much porn is in that.
Not porn. It is suggestive, perhaps. A little moderate, moderate into large amount of fan service at times, but the food is really good.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those ones I actually watched for the plot, and it was good. I know you don't believe me, but that it doesn't change
No, I
the
don't.
fact that it had a good plot.
Oh, I believe you.
It
Okay.
did. It did.
I feel like that could be a
Mhm.
game that we could play next year at Holiday Matsuri, which by the way, if they have us back, we'd absolutely do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should make a game called Anime or Fanime where we have to give out plots and you have to tell us if this is a real anime or not.
There would have been a time that I thought that game would have been too easy, but then I actually was after Holiday Matsuri that I was watching this anime with my friend that was about a person reincarnated as a vending machine and he gets a herring. And I decided to myself, you know what? Nothing is off the table anymore. It's all fair game.
I think it's funny is that my wife told me about that one as well.
It's good. It's good. It's not very good, but it's good.
And so I feel like we can make games about this. But one of the cool stories that we got out of Matsuri, we've been doing we used to do, or not used to, we still do Tampa Bay Comic Con every year.
Don't kick us out.
Yeah, I'm not kicking us out of Tampa. I'm not kicking us out of Tampa. But we do Tampa every year, and so we usually bring in a decent sized crowd, and that was also based on like years of being there and years of becoming a more regular figure. And so we weren't sure how it was going to be with Matsuri. And so Kyle and I were just kind of like, all right, let's just go there. We'll do it just to say that we did it.
The bucket list.
Yeah, just essentially like scratch off the con and all that. And so when we got there, we have usually if you have a panel, you have to arrive 30 minutes prior just so you can help set up and all that. And when we got there, I went to the bathroom. I came back. Kyle's sitting right by our room, and there's a girl standing next to him. And a security woman comes up to the girl and says, are you here to watch this panel? And
I think she said, are you in line? And or in line for this panel or whatever
yes.
it was.
And the girl goes, yes. I'm like, all right, cool. We got one. We were expecting like 10 to 20 people, like 20 if we're lucky. And the girl goes, yeah, I'm here to see this. And the security lady goes, okay, the line is over there. And I got big-eyed. I'm just like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
and then
this was the VIP line. Very fun.
And so like we thought, you and I both thought like, oh, this might be the line for like a Q&A for like
different something else.
Yes, we thought it was like a Q&A for a voiceover guy because there's a bunch of anime people there. Mm-hmm. And the lady comes up to us and says, are you here for the panel? I'm like, well, we're hosting it in this room. And she goes, I'm sorry. Oh, I said, we're hosting in this room. I'm sorry. Did you say there's a line for this room? Mm-hmm. And she goes, yes. And so we see like this long line for people wanting to come in. And Kyle and I are like, oh, crap. Because like we were excited, but also terrified because I'm riding on 3 hours of sleep. And Kyle, it was his birthday the day before. So he got drunk. It was hungover. Mm-hmm. And we were excited and terrified at the same time. And that crowd, that was a spectacular crowd. Like,
first of all, I when you say line, I think people need to understand it wasn't like a 2-person, 3-person line. It was a legitimate, like, there was a line of what, about 30 or 40 people?
Yes.
I mean, that was, it was like legitimate line. I was like, oh dear, like, wow. Okay, first of all, that's pretty insane. They were super all into it as well. I was like,
yeah, like what was even crazier was just the fact that like, when we get sold out, it's usually about 20 minutes into the show.
Mm-hmm. The stragglers got time.
Yeah, stragglers come in and all that. This was the first time ever that we've sold out 10 minutes before showtime.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, there's a lot of people. And it's such a great crowd. It was probably one of the best crowds that we've had an engagement with. Like, we literally did a wave of Owen Wilson wows. Like, wow. I don't, wow. Like, which, by the way, you were like, I don't think this is going to be so stupid. And then everyone did it. It's like, oh, this is going to be fun.
So you had to trust me on that one.
Yes. Well, I was the one that suggested it.
I don't think that's true.
I
Yeah,
think
I think back on it. I think that's a thing that I would do.
maybe, but
Mhm.
we met a whole bunch of great people. Bast, I believe that's his name. Bast. He was dressed as Gino from Super Mario RPG. I believe her. We also met someone, Angelixa. I think that's her name. I could be mistaken. She offered us free art.
I was literally about to say the free fan art was insane. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
whoa, hold
I was
on.
like, well, hold on. I don't think you must think we're popular.
Yeah, clearly you don't know who we really are.
You don't know who we are.
Woof.
But it was a lot of fun, and we definitely go back. Now, speaking
Absolutely.
of, we aren't as popular as you think we are. I think we need to start applying to these like best podcasts in like these local market things,
Let's
because
do
like,
it.
yeah, we should. Just because, one, I want to see if we can pull it off in both Orlando and Jacksonville, because I was just at one of those parties, and it's like some of the categories is like, oh, we have a shot.
We could
We
do it. We could do it. Is it like what stupidest looking bug-eyed little freak?
No, like one of the categories was best cowboy. And so we could, just for a good stretch, just wear a cowboy hat.
Is that the criterion? Like if I put on a cowboy hat and said "Yeehaw, mother fricker,"
Thank
then
you.
would we? You're welcome.
That might qualify. They literally
Qualify?
had one.
Yeah.
They had a category for best place to get eyelashes done, and so I was like, wait, wow, these are just really specific. And so
Mm,
they had best podcast, they had best cosplay, which we can't do that.
why not?
Well, I mean, maybe you could, but I mean, you're down there and I'm up here.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It has. It can't be like I put on a cosplay once in my life and okay.
Yeah,
Understood.
yeah, but
I
I feel
cosplay as
like
a happy person. Does
you.
that count?
Chase Bunker,
Other notable things that was announced: Final Fantasy 16 got a new trailer.
Kyle Helmstetter.
I'm so excited for Final Fantasy 16. Like,
I'm not.
This is That Game Show.
So Kyle, as we mentioned earlier, brought back the underratedly unheard of series. He was playing Rolls and Dice. It looks like what was it, like just like a tool for like
Nice
D&D
tool,
groups.
Yeah, so it's a kind of like a mobile DM station. So you can create maps on there or import maps if you have them downloaded from something else. You've made them from like Arkenforge or something like that. You have the ability to essentially manage encounters, allow characters to be able to move around. It's essentially a game mat for DMs for a online D&D. So I actually was, when I opened it, I was like, boy, I don't know what I'm gonna get myself into here. But it was enjoyable, and I think if they cleaned up the interface just a little bit, like I said in that video, check it out. Um, it'll be it'll be a pretty solid little tool.
Yeah, I think I'm not familiar with D&D, so when I watched them, like, okay, I think these are good things. I'm not entirely sure. But
Mhm.
how was it just getting back into the swing of things with underratedly unheard of?
It was a little weird. There was a time and place where I was recording the episode, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, do I want to make this a review episode, or want to make this like a live episode where they watch me as I go through it? And I really didn't know where to go from there because I'm like, I wanted Underratedly Unheard of to be a live playthrough with an end review so that people could see my genuine reactions and those of the guests that will be on the show. Um, but it just didn't feel right with that particular like game/tool because of its origin and nature. I
Hmm.
was like, there's not a whole lot of live reaction because mostly I'm just kind of sitting there clicking and I'm like, it's like, how do I do?
Hmm.
And it's like, there's nothing like, emotional about it. So I was like, okay, I have to, so I thought about it and I'm like, I got to do a true review of this one.
Hmm.
Um, it was fun. I actually switched a lot of softwares in the process as well. I upgraded from VSCD editing over to DaVinci Resolve to be able
Nice.
to edit the videos, which was a pretty big upgrade. Um, I'm thinking, and this episode, I don't think I did a face cam for that one, did I?
No, you didn't. No,
That's
it's
smart. Yeah, I didn't
yeah.
need people to vomit on their keyboards. Um, so that was also easier. Only had to sync the voice essentially to what I was doing, and it was nice to be back. I wish that my time was a little bit better. I was just on surgery the past few weeks, so it was impossibly hard for me to be able to
Hmm.
record an episode. But I'm hoping to have an episode or two recorded this week for the fans out there that are probably not watching nor going to watch the episode.
Well, I mean, you brought in a decent amount of people. You brought in over 200 people, like, to the video for a series that just you brought back after what, like a year and a half? Like,
True.
it's been docile for a long time, and so I mean, I think you did a great job. I know it's not easy reviewing a toolkit, but you found a way to at least make it
Sometimes
entertaining.
you just have to make it how you say you got to do this thing, and then when you do the thing, people realize that yeah, this guy is doing a thing, and then honestly, I think we just have to, yeah.
That's incredibly vague. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyway, let's move on to game of the year. Of course, we like to do these late because now we get to stick out a little bit more and also beat to death, already old topics. So
Wait, I thought we weren't allowed to stick out in public anymore.
why would we not want to stick out in public anymore?
Oh, as people. Never mind. I thought you meant
Do you,
genitalia.
oh, okay. Yeah, you don't want to stick that out at people
Correct. I agree.
unless it's a consenting adult.
Correct. You had me for a second. I was like,
Don't put the unless in there. Oh, it's a good
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
Okay, but no, you're right. You are correct. You are
Yes.
correct.
Yes. I
Good
am.
man. Good man.
Thank
you.
you.
Could work at Blizzard, or
No, I couldn't actually.
no, actually, you couldn't. Oh, is that too political for the show?
I feel like that is I think the edgiest. That's probably the edgiest we've gone for a while. Next to, I won't even bring it up.
Yeah,
I'll make
You
them.
should bring it back.
No, I'm not gonna bring it back. I'll let them do the deep dive. I'll let them start digging and be like, all right, where is it? What was the offensive thing that they said? It wasn't really offensive. It was fairly benign, but also it gives us more views. So, game of the year. We do these every year, late, but regardless.
I was like, wow, game of the year done every year. Holy moly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
we just usually do it late. So, Kyle, I want to ask you first, what is your I don't want to start with your game of the year. I want to go with your very surprising games of the year that stood out to you. Like, not like Baldur's Gate, where we all knew that Baldur's Gate was going to be great. I mean,
You're
like,
right.
wow, I can't believe how good this game actually is.
All right. That's a good question. I definitely think for me in particular, Lethal Company was one of those. I know that gained so much traction. It gained tons of traction. It became
So
one of
much
the
traction.
most popular streamer games at one point. And I think that game literally blew up.
Mhm.
So for me though, I amidst all of that, it was still probably one of the most surprising games of the year for me. I'm trying to look a little bit at my Steam list here because I played a few games for the first time, but I don't think that they were from 2023.
Mhm.
For instance, I played Frostpunk for the first time, but I think that was 2018. It says, "Oof,
Oof.
that game's a little bit older than I
Yeah,
thought it
that's
was."
a wow.
It's a good game though. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
I hear Frostpunk's really good.
I loved it. The soundtrack was phenomenal. Strongly recommend, but it's not maybe back in 2019 it would have been my game of the year because it was,
Mhm.
but probably not for this year. I would say it's probably gotta be Lethal Company for me, honestly. I don't know. I'm looking through my games right now and there's a few on there I'm like they were what I expected them to be.
Mhm.
I do give full props. This is not my game of the year clearly because it didn't come out then, but Cyberpunk really did do their best work during 2013 or
Yes.
2023. They really did a phenomenal job making that game, finally finishing what they said that they were going to start. I full props to them for actually being able to do that.
Yeah, Cyberpunk really took like a No Man's Sky turnaround where it was a PR disaster. It was like everybody was ready to roll on it and make fun of it, and eventually like they made all the fixes. They tweaked all like the glitches and all that, and it just became a solid game. And then of course Phantom Liberty comes out and just takes it to the next level. And so I'm happy for the people of our CD Projekt Red that they get to now
Mhm.
make the game that they've been wanting to make for so long, and they actually get to like you get to finally like see the labor of love rather than like the glitchy buggy mess. I have two because one of them I just finished recently. Um one of them was Remnant 2, which I played the
Okay.
first Remnant, loved the first Remnant. And then when I was surprised that they announced the second one cuz I didn't know that the first Remnant did that well, and the second one blows it out of the water. The second one is so incredible. Uh, I know some people like to say it's Dark Souls with guns, and I feel like yes and no. I feel like it's its own game in a way. Like yes, there are, you know, there is an endurance bar, and of course you have to dodge and all that. But I think as a whole, I think it's a fantastic game. I love the adventure mode. I love the fact that like each player can get a different adventure. And so it's like, oh, where'd you start at? Oh, I started in the Bloodborne world. Oh, where'd you start at? Oh, I started over with the space fairies. And so it's a really cool. I thought it was really cool. Honestly, it might be one of my top 5 games of 2023. I need to compile that list.
Oh, very
But
interesting.
that was really good. And then another one that I just beat on the Switch, Dave the Diver. Dave
Ah,
the Diver, I'm surprised at how much I really liked it because it's a bizarre concept, but it does its best to make sure that you're not grinding. Like you're going to be doing some things repetitively, but also like they're going to mix in some fun elements here and there. And so it's also so over the top and extra sometimes, but I absolutely loved it. And so I definitely would recommend Dave the Diver. I recommend that for a lot of people because it's like it's a fairly cheap game, and I think it's a nice change of pace given some of the games that came out this year. You mentioned Lethal Company, and I feel like if it wasn't for Lethal Company's instant rise to
yeah.
success, I feel like that would have been an underratedly unheard of.
Uh yeah, it would have been cool, wouldn't it have? That's kind of the point of doing Underrated Unheard of in the first place, is to be able to catch games like that. Not really for us as much as just being able to get to play that game and kind of hopefully get, that type of studio,
Yeah,
that type of game, the deserving play that they deserve, right? That's the whole point of underratedly unheard of.
yeah,
It would have been a perfect game for that, but unfortunately, well, fortunately rather, I guess,
yeah.
it did blow up, and quite quite honestly did not need our 300 viewers help
Nope.
for that. Two other games I'll mention quickly. The finals came out very late December, or very late
Hmm.
2023. They came out December, early December, but it's caught fire pretty quickly. It definitely has. I know it was not. It was kind of like a Call of Duty clone, but it was seen as like the newer Call of Duty. But honestly, like it kind of plays in its own way. Um, Fun game if you haven't tried it before. Great with I think it's trios, so you and two friends, you and two randos. But it's a good
Hmm.
game. The other one that kind of caught me surprised, and this is gonna be sound weird, but Hogwarts Legacy, I thought it was going to suck. I thought it was going to be a very bad game that just did not. Well, I didn't think it was going to release well. I didn't think it was going to play well. I thought it was just going to suck in general because that's what we do, right? We get a big name movie, a big name like IP, and then somebody releases it and it just sucks. But to the surprise of I think a lot of people, Hogwarts Legacy was enjoyable. Admits J.K. Rowling's existence, we ignore that, but
Yes.
um, you know, good game. Well done
Hmm.
actually. I was very surprised and impressed.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it definitely had the making. It had a rough. I think a lot of people forget like there was already controversy prior to the controversy leading up to it involving J.K. Rowling.
Right.
There and it was about like one of the developers. was leading, like, he posted some videos, some very controversial opinions, and he ultimately stepped down from the game because of that. And so it was already in hot water. And like you said earlier, whenever there's a major IP, it has the recipe for failure. We saw that with Avengers. Avengers was a big game, big IP, recognizable, and it mostly floundered. Right now, we're seeing that with Suicide Squad, and it Hogwarts Legacy could have seen that, or it could have had that, and I'm surprised it was it was the top selling game of 2023. Now, it had the advantage of coming out in February, and also the list was a bit like didn't have digital sales for some of the games, but at the same time, like Hogwarts Legacy being a #1 selling game is still astonishing, and I mean, good for them. Like, I didn't see that part coming. I didn't see that being the top selling game.
There's a lot of things that told me it could have been, and even maybe would have been. Like, it does have an absolutely massive audience. It has a ton of fans, and it is a huge IP. But I didn't think amongst the video game population, because it requires, if you play on the PC, it does require a bit of a beefy boy to be able to play that game. I know the Xbox and it was on PlayStation, I do believe.
Yes, it's on PS5.
So, those are obviously much more modified to be able to run that game. But the PC in particular, it's a beefier game. Like, it's not someone's laptop that, they're a massive Harry Potter fan, don't play video games much, and they're just going to go and buy it and play it at, like, what it's meant to be run at. So, pretty good release, honestly, for that.
Yeah, great. What's funny is that I remember, I think we might have been talking about it, or I might have been talking about it with someone else, that was an early Game of the Year contender. But because of how great 2023 was, like, we just completely forgot about it, like, by September.
Yeah, I would say 2023 had a softer start, but its ending was because what else was there in the beginning of 2023?
Hi-Fi Rush,
Atomic Heart, Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush was captivating the nation, and then you had Missionary, Atomic Heart.
Yeah, basic vanilla, boring, blander.
Not even it gets better. Like, that game gets better towards the end.
Sure, toward the end when I'm about to bust, but as it was just bland. But, like, the list of games that came out had promise and then kind of floundered. I want to say, was Back for Blood 2023 or was that 2022?
No, I think that was 2022.
Okay, was Redfall?
Redfall was 2023.
There's another game that kind of stumbled. Actually, I can't even say stumbled. That game just caught fire. Yeah, that one I said I tried to say I really did.
Yeah, but either way, like, Redfall, we've talked about its failure as well, and
we've hit that one.
Yeah, you go listen to our previous episodes about Redfall's failure and all that.
Beyond that, though, the start of 2023 was a little rougher. I think it definitely caught fire near the end, though. You did have Diablo, which came out like a fireball and then fizzled out like a fireball. Unfortunate for them. You had a few games near the end of 2023 that really did take off.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2. You had Marvel Spider-Man 2. Yeah. You had
you did a Call of Duty, even if people hate it. Let's be real.
Oh, that single player. The single player was still bad. Like,
absolutely. It was short. It wasn't that it was bad. It was just short.
It is universally panned. Like, when it comes to the single player, everybody they've just berated it because it's not as strong.
So. Yeah, absolutely. You had Resident Evil for a little bit there. I mean, like, you had some titles that came out and kind of gave the 2023 that push it needed.
We had the Dead Space remake, and then we had the Resident Evil 4 remake that was like, no. Let's let the real horror experts do their thing.
They saw that. They're like, yeah, we can time that for that release.
And then Callisto Protocol is like, hey, I'm $5 right now at GameStop.
Chase Bunker.
I wonder what that meeting was like when they said, hey guys, how about we do this sci-fi game and have like 500 planets?
Kyle Helmstetter.
Todd Howard at his desk just rolls slowly with the sun shining on his face ominously, and he goes, no. We're gonna do over 1,000. I want Skyrim in space.
That's impossible. No game has ever produced over 1,000 planets.
We're Bethesda, not Bethesda can't.
This is That Game Show.
So right when we went to break, Kyle and I were discussing what to do next, and as I say the words, all right, I think we should do, and he interrupts me and just goes, "Oh, Starfield." Like that's just the words that just came out of his mouth. It was just,
That's
"Oh,
everybody's
Starfield."
reaction to it. Everybody's reaction to Starfield is, "Oh yeah, Starfield. How could I forget?" And then you're like, "Never mind. I know exactly how I could forget. It's Starfield. That's the reason I can forget."
Yes, like Starfield. So there was like this weird discourse with Starfield where it's like, if you hate it, like, well, you don't know real games. Like, oh, it's great because of this. Like, no, it can't be boring. Like, there's literally planets that just don't have anything.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's crazy because now this is the second space exploration game that we've gotten that was really, really hyped. I would say the first one to be
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Now, granted, No Man's Sky has tried to recover and
They
save
did.
what they've done. Not a knock on them right now. But now this is the second time we've seen a space game that promises all these planets with all the stuff on it, and you know what happens? They're empty, and then we sit there and we're like, holy crap, it's like actual space. That's insane. Why did we all think actual space was full of things? Has nobody looked in the sky recently? There's nothing up there right now. Like, sure, there might be life somewhere, but like the reality is, why are most planets in these games thought to be like full of life? Because they never are. It's
No.
just empty.
Like, especially, I think a lot of people don't realize, like, a lot of the outer planets in our solar system are just a lot of gas. Like, that's what they are. Like, if you were to I believe if you were to, quote, land on it, you would fall through.
Dude, it's hot air. And you know what else was hot air? That entire team that was marketing that game, because that game was mid. It was just like, I don't know how you can have a game that felt like I was playing Skyrim, but it wasn't Skyrim because it didn't even have the Skyrim charm. I was like, boy, wow. It's like you took the enjoyable parts out of Skyrim and then you just said, those are not going back in, by the way. Those are going into space. Conveniently, the only other thing about space that we care about is how much space this thing is going to take up on your freaking hard drive.
Like, oh, that's a take for another day. Like, I definitely want to talk about how big games have gotten recently, but like that, it's one of those things where I think the creative director, and I could be mistaken on this, the creative director then also lashed out at fast travel, saying if you have fast travel, that just means your game is boring. And I'm like, that is a take, not a good one, but I mean, I'll admire you for having the audacity to say that, but like. I think like given how big that world is, yeah, you kind of want fast travel, but at the same time, also like a lot of it just seems so unnecessary with Starfield, and it's and it sucks because like this was, I think, was Microsoft's big thing. Like, oh, we have a lot of money invested in this. This is going to be something that's going to bring us in, and it's just it's like you said, it is largely mid.
It is. Would you say what game is more mid? Would you say that Atomic Heart is more mid, or would you say that Starfield is more mid?
Starfield, because I actually enjoyed Atomic Heart towards the end. Like there was at least a sense of story, and also there was at least more things happening.
You know what? I agree with you. I almost got my face squashed by a lady in Made of Metal, which is largely the more enjoyable. Beats out anything I did in Starfield.
Yeah.
Starfield, if I turned the game on, I'm like, I wonder what the plot's going to be like. And I was in a mine. The mine blew up, and then they were like, "Congratulations, you now take my ship." And I'm like, "What? Who just gives away their spaceship?" Also, you don't even know who I am. Also, I don't even know who I am. What is happening?
It's not the greatest, and I know that there's been some people who've been like playing it multiple times and they've found enjoyment, and I mean, good for them. Like, if you find enjoyment out of a fairly meh game, then good for you. Like, you can have your taste. Everybody's tastes are different.
Absolutely.
I just said I liked Atomic Heart, so, and that's been largely, again, universally meh. But speaking of not meh, Game of the year. We've been teasing it long enough.
Everyone's
Kyle,
gonna be so surprised.
every,
Wow.
I mean, well, I think this is for the first time you and I are going to have different choices because we both were fairly active in current games for 2023. So I want your 2023 game of the year.
Da, 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 da. It was Spider. No, I'm just kidding. It was Baldur's Gate 3.
Do you want to elaborate on it or
Because it was good. I don't like the entire game was good. It was like if I could have a game again, it would be Baldur's Gate 3 because it was just good from the music to the writing to the characters. Everything about it to me was just like, boy, this is peak gameplay. Now, granted, yes, there's like the clip of somebody who's one time like stacking boxes, and they're like, "What is this? Isn't peak gameplay?" That is a part of it, right? The game itself, yes, that is a facet of it. But from the parts that I care about, the cinematics, the music, the writing, the execution, the story, everything about it was like, yeah, this is fantastically well done. The voice acting was so like thought out. It was like, wow. Even the studio to this day still cares. And I'm like, you know what? You don't often get that with games. So, like, absolutely without a doubt, 100% game of the year.
For me, my game of the year is Alan Wake 2. Like, I've been looking forward to this game for a long time, and I love the first Alan Wake, and I thought American Nightmare was good, minus the spiders. I liked Quantum Break, loved Control as our 2019 game of the year, and with this game, I thought the writing behind it was incredible. I love the voice acting. I love the story. I love the change in aesthetic from just like kind of like eerie to just like it's a horror game, and they do a great job with the horror as well. The atmospheres behind it, it's so creepy. There was a lot of thought and a lot of love that was put into this game. They have a section, I don't want to spoil it. It's widely spoiled, but I don't want to contribute to it just in case. That I think is one of the best sequences I've ever played. It's a fantastic story game. And with the horror genre, it's a very niche genre because there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, I just don't do horror. I just don't do horror." There are very few games that I would recommend, and I think this is one of them, that even if you don't like horror games, you need to play Alan Wake 2. Even if you don't like horror games and you never played the first Alan Wake, you need to play Alan Wake 2.
What if I don't have a way to play Alan Wake 2?
You have a way to play Alan Wake 2.
All right, he said it there first. Chat, everybody here hears it. Everybody here knows it. You now have a way to play Alan Wake 2.
Yes, if you have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X or a PC, you can play Alan Wake 2.
I got a toaster.
You could probably play Doom on that.
I could play Skyrim when they release it again.
Yeah, that's inevitable at this point.
Well, I might just try Alan Wake 2 now that you've said that.
All right.
I might actually take your advice.
Good. You should definitely do that. It's an incredible game, and I absolutely loved it. It's one of the few games that I don't do New Game Pluses, but I did it, and I still absolutely enjoyed it. And I don't do New Game Pluses because I'm usually like, all right, I beat it. All right, I'm good. So anyway, that's going to be it for our show. Thank you very much for listening. All the music you heard on our show is courtesy of the band Power Glove. For music, tour dates, and merch, check out powergloveband.com. Check out Kyle's underratedly unheard of series over on our YouTube page, youtube.com/thatgameshow. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to like and just comment just randomly. Just so it helps, trick the algorithm, and also subscribe as well. You can follow Kyle on Instagram at Scandinavian_sensations. You can follow me on Twitter at Chase Bunker. I refuse to say follow me on X, even though I said it just now. So
Follow me on XXX.
no, that's completely different. For Kyle Helmstetter, I'm Chase Bunker. Thank you all very much for listening, and we'll talk to you all in the next episode.
Well,
Thanks for listening. Make sure you check out more episodes on iTunes and on our YouTube page, youtube.com/thatgameshow. And follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/thatgameshow.